Welcome back to another episode of the Kitmen Podcast. My name is Rohan. Thank you guys for joining us. I know we've been inconsistent with our uploads, but literally we could not help it. We have time zone differences, people traveling, actual jobs. So we've been busy. But joining me today to break down the top 10 U-23 players in the Premier League, including 23-year-olds, is on a transfer from Switzerland, Melina. Melina, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm glad your loan spell in Switzerland ended up with you returning.
I couldn't do the cold. I had to come back to my
roots. Yeah, that's fair. And then also we have Gareth, possibly the greatest mind in football. Gareth, how are you?
Very doubtful about that one. A couple of weeks ago, I was convinced Eddie Nketiah was better than Gabriel Jesus, and I watched the Everton game. I was like, oh, I really miss Jesus. Yeah, I'm good. Excited to get into this list.
Yeah, let's get into it. So honorable mentions because someone forgot to include someone on their list. So players who we would have had on the list, but we couldn't fit. Melina, kick it off.
Garnacho. I forgot about him. I was literally just listening to a podcast and they said Garnacho and I was like, oh my god. I don't know how I forgot about him because I'm obsessed with him. I think he is so young. I think he's only like 18, 19. And he plays with such fearlessness that you would attribute to an 18-year-old. And sort of like a naivety almost. Because that dude is fearless. He will do whatever he wants. And
no, he's a dog.
I feel like whenever Erik ten Hag puts him on, like something good happens. Something new happens. He's extremely creative. I think, this is just the beginning for him. And I can't believe I forgot him.
I don't know if he makes my top 10 list, but I do agree he's fearless. He kind of reminds me of Martinelli. I don't know your thoughts on that, Gareth.
Yeah, I can kind of see that. Fearlessness is the right word for him. You can see, how, young kids will look up to Ronaldo and stuff, and they'll be like, oh, I want to be like Ronaldo, and they'll do the sui and all that stuff.
Yeah.
When he was first breaking through and he was doing that, I thought, oh, this is a bit cringe. But when you actually watch him and then you listen to him in interviews and stuff, I can see that same hunger that Ronaldo had, and I think that's actually really, really admirable from him, and it's going to take him to the top, whether his talent would or not. That drive that he seems to have is really, really admirable. So, yeah, having Messi as an international teammate and mentor, and then Ronaldo as someone you look up to, and was a teammate, of course, at club for a little bit as well. That if that rubs off on him, even like 10%, he's going to be an unbelievable player.
All it needs. I mean, when you're with greatness like that. All right, but let's move into our list. Notable exceptions from the list. These players was not on anybody's list. Darwin Núñez, Cody Gakpo, Kai Havertz, and
Melina just laughing at Kai Havertz.
Badiashile and Michael Olise. I guess those last two aren't crazy, but how do we feel about those three? I mean, did you forget them or something, Melina?
No, I did not even think about it.
No. Okay. Yeah. But I thought it was interesting. Darwin Núñez, Cody Gakpo, two Liverpool players. They're two, I guess, core signings the past 2 years. Both under 23. Both don't make this list. But with that said. Oh, go for it. Yeah.
Cody, I think it's more of just I really haven't seen him play. I saw him in the World Cup and I've heard about him at, where was he? Ajax?
No, PSV Eindhoven.
Okay. Yeah, I heard about him, but I'm not watching the Dutch league. And I saw him in the World Cup, and he was great. And now it's just I've only seen him 3-4 times for Liverpool. It's not enough for me to judge. And I think Darwin, he also is sort of fearless, just like Garnacho, but the output is not there yet. You know what I mean?
He could do with a little bit of fear.
Yeah. He and I don't know. He reminds me of I said this before, Fernando Torres at Chelsea, just missing the wide open shots. And I think that's just he's still young and still adjusting to the Prem. It's a very difficult league. So I honestly didn't even think about him. But Kai Havertz,
if it clicks for Darwin, Yeah, if it clicks for Darwin, he's one that like everyone will put in there. But for me, like my top 10, I just couldn't justify putting any of those names you said above the ones that I've got. Really, it's not even anything against them, but there's just some very good players that are under 23, and I just prefer them to the ones you mentioned.
I mean, the league is in safe hands. We don't have to worry about that. I will say from 9th place to 13th, where we start off, nothing but no one had both the hold on. No one had these players on more than one list. All right, you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Okay, you understand what I'm trying to say. Okay, 13th tie straight off the bat. Amadou Onana and Ibrahim Konate. Gareth had Konate. I had Onana. I wanted to put Konate. I think he's really, really good. But it honestly might just be recency bias because of the form Liverpool are in. Obviously, their defense is kind of lacking, bleeding goals. I would have put Konate in maybe last season. But no, I went with Onana. I really like Onana. I think he's a great player. And I would have put Sheik Decore, but Onana offers more going forward.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I considered Onana as well. Like, he's a fantastic player, and we've been seeing he's got a bit of that, that dog in him.
Oh
as
yeah,
well.
He has that dog in him.
You saw him in the Merseyside derby, but even against Arsenal, he was like running all over the place. He really, every time he steps on the pitch, he looks like he's got a point to prove. Yeah, I really considered him, but Konate I put in 10th. I just think he's proven it a little bit more for me. I've watched him a bit more, and yeah, I think he's like an unbelievable young defender as well. I do think there's like a couple of holes in his game. I think sometimes he's just a bit shaky, but that's the same for most young defenders. I think that's something that, like, with experience will go, and then he'll be one of the best defenders in the world easily one day.
Absolutely. Well, let's jump into 12th, where Melina, you come into the forte. The only one that has Sven Botman on your list. Had him in at 9th.
Really? Interesting. Well, I put him in because Newcastle have been electric when it comes to defending. And personally, I didn't even know he was under 23. I think he's 21, so he's like super young. But yeah, the Newcastle defense, he's part of it. He's integral to it. Yeah, I don't know how I could have left him out, but now I'm like, Konate. So there's just so many good players. We're saying, Gareth, like, it's so hard to put 10.
I was really going back and forth between Botman and Konate because Botman's been better this season. But I think part of that comes down to the fact that defence is just more organised and the midfield is so good, whereas Liverpool's midfield is an absolute mess. And they've got two very attacking fullbacks. That leaves Konate much more exposed. So it's a much harder job. So I went a bit kinder to Konate on that occasion, but I was like really split between them. So I'm glad you went with them. So they're kind of like there together.
Yeah, no, I would have put Botman, but honestly, I haven't watched Newcastle a whole lot this year. I know they're an absolute castle in the back, but I haven't seen Botman enough for me to be like, okay, yeah, he makes this list. He's definitely a top Premier League defender for me, but like including 23-year-olds in this list made it way, way harder than it should have been. But it's fine. It's fine. All right, let's move into 10th, where we have another tie. This one is just me and Melina. I had Ian Melliot. I was actually surprised no one else had him, I'll be honest. And then, Melina, you had Martinelli, and you were the only one who had him, which surprised me because I thought Gareth would put him.
Oh, interesting. Oh. Okay.
Very, right?
Yeah. Because he was one of the first names that popped into my head.
Yeah, I don't know, when I look at the names I've got down, I just can't justify Martinelli over them. Really, is basically.
That was my thing.
Are you?
Yeah, that's basically what it comes down to.
Based on like overall or current season?
I did overall with like how good I think they can be.
Fair.
Yeah, I mean I did it kind of a bit of both, really. Like, I've got Foden on my list, which won't surprise anyone. I don't think he's having the best season that he possibly could have, especially in the more recent months. But I think you know his quality and you know what he's going to go on to achieve, what he's already achieved. So, so I've kind of done a little bit of both. But to be honest, I think, like, bar one, okay, maybe two players, like, it's mostly like what I've seen over the years, what I can project as well into the future. And I love Martinelli, but yeah, I do think he's a tad overrated as an Arsenal fan. He's not been great recently, which is maybe if he was in top form, I would be like, oh no, he's got to be in there. Maybe earlier in the season, I would have said that. But yeah, I just think there's more players where I'm just like, they're more complete. It's hard doing like different positions as well, because how do you compare like a Konate or to a Martinelli or whatever? It's tough. But yeah, I do think he's just a tad overrated.
What are your thoughts on Martinelli, Melina?
I just think he's so dynamic. Like, when he's on, he's on. I don't think there's like, you know, it's one of those that are like on his day type of thing. I think he is so like integral to the Arsenal side. Like, second to Partey and Saka, I think Martinelli on his day, again, not current form. I don't know, unplayable.
My thing is, when he's bad, he's so stinky, and no one says anything because Arsenal are performing so well. Yeah. But when he's bad, he's so stinky. Like, he should. He looks like Damari Gray and Anthony Gordon. Like, I'm sorry.
Do you think that that's like partly due to his youth? Like, that's kind of. Like
I think it's due to his play style. I think it's like his youth, but also his play style, because those three players, Damari Gray, Anthony Gordon, and Martinelli, are all so direct. When they're on, they look amazing, but when they're off, they look horrendous.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, the one good thing about Martinelli is even when he's off, he works really hard. So
yeah, that's the thing. That's kind of his saving grace.
It allows him to kind of play more or less every game and makes him hard to drop. Yeah. And when he is on form, like, he had a really good spell at the start of the season where he was just on fire for months, and it was like, wow, he's finally hit it, and it's like, when's this going to stop? And now we've kind of seen it stop. It'd be really great if he did pick it up again, because when he's on, we are a much better team, because when he's not, we rely so much on Saka, and it's frustrating.
That's true. And you become very one-sided as an attack.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, let's close out our last player that was only on one person's list.
One thing I will say about Martinelli as well, I think he really thrives off the the link-up play with Gabriel Jesus. I think it's no surprise that when Jesus got injured, that's when you kind of see Martinelli dropping off. It's not that Nketiah is like terrible at that, but Jesus just brings like another level, and I think this is why like I've recounted my isn't Nketiah amazing, because I love him so much. But like, realistically, the extra things that Jesus brings really brings it out of Xhaka, who you've seen have a dip in form as well. Really brings it out of Martinelli, who you've seen have a dip in form as well since his injury. So hopefully when he comes back, we'll see the best of Martinelli again. But yeah, I just think like he really relies on those players around him to link up with, and when that's not there, it's kind of like he can get a bit tunnel visioned.
Absolutely. Well, sticking with you, Gareth, you were the only person to have Moises Caicedo actually on your list, and you had him fairly high. You had him 7th, so fairly high for to make a top 10 list with you being the only person who had him on. Yeah,
no, I was going through my list and I had it all planned out, and then like I was going over other players, like, have I forgotten anyone? And then like I was going through like a little list of Premier League players, and he popped up, and I was like, he's got to be on there. And I think the reason why like he's like quite forgettable, like why I initially forgot him, and you know, you guys might just maybe don't rate him as highly, or maybe you forgot, I don't know. But for me, I was just like, he does something so different from like who the kind of player you'd usually put in this list. Like, he's not this super exciting player, but what he brings to a team defensively on the ball, I think, is something that can be a real game changer for a lot of teams. Yeah, I really wanted Arsenal to sign him really, really badly, and I was happy to overpay for him as well, because I think he's an unbelievable young player. But and I also really want Partey out the team. But yeah, but I rate him so highly. I think he'll go to the top. But it is one of those where, like, I mean, even some of the players I've put below him on my list, I'm kind of like, I'm not 100% sure whether I agree with that. But I just think what he brings is really, really underrated in that his work defensively and on the ball as well. Having a midfielder who's just kind of an all-rounder is obviously not the best, like, in the box kind of thing, but it's such a game changer. It makes all the difference.
Melina, how come you left Caicedo off?
I'll be honest, I thought he was like 25.
That's not that crazy.
His
That's not that
Instagram
crazy.
post where
There
he
was a couple players.
His Instagram.
There was a
post-
couple players where I was like,
Sorry.
oh, you're under 23. Like I didn't realize.
His Instagram post where he was like,
one of those was
I
Konate.
was like, oh, you must be like 30. You know? His Instagram-
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't put him on just because haven't seen enough of him. I've seen him play, like I've watched Brighton and stuff like that, but I think how he handled his transfer, kind of like demanding out, I didn't like that. So he was already kind of working against me. And then I think he is kind of getting a little bit overrated because it's just being linked with Arsenal for what was it, 100 mil, right? For a player.
Well, I think Brighton were kind of like over demand. From what I heard, it sounded like 80 was what they were more going
80?
for.
yeah.
Still,
Which
80 is crazy.
It's too much realistically. I just really don't want Partey in the team.
That's fair.
I'm not mad at you.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Our first player that two of us agree on because, all three of us agreed on this player. Saliba in 8th, last on Melina's, 6th on mine, and 8th on Gareth's.
9th on mine. Oh no, I changed it.
You did change it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Melina, your thoughts on Saliba? Barely making your list.
Yeah, so okay, top 10s are so hard for me because I'm like, how do you compare? Like, obviously there's ones that are just like so incredible, and I'm sure we know who those are.
Delet would be throwing a fit right now.
Well, Delet's not here to throw his fit, so
Delet would have had
God.
Reece Nelson in the top 3 though.
Thank God. Yeah.
Saliba. So I'm basing my list on like current season and projections, like into the future. I think he has an extremely high ceiling. He has fallen off a teeny tiny cliff as of lately.
Quite a big cliff.
Yeah, I don't want to say it. But the beginning of the season, he was fantastic. He slotted right in, and I've said this all before. I'm a big fan of him. He has fallen off of that teeny tiny cliff, as I say. But I think the future is very bright for him, and it just depends on who's next to him in his partnership, like for him to grow and develop. So I don't know. We'll see. 10th is good for him, I think.
Yeah. I initially had him 9th, and I bumped him up to 8th just because the guy I had in 8th, I was like, I need to see more from you to justify putting you above Saliba. We'll get to that. But Saliba, like I love the partnership of him and Gabriel. And those first like 8-9 weeks of the season, he was genuinely like the best defender in the world in that period. And then it's not that like he's bad now, but he's just gone from that level to just being like, just a very good centre back, which is fine. I mean, it's probably more his actual level, and then what he showed at the start of the season is what maybe he can get to consistently within a few years, hopefully.
He's a really good defender for me. Like I said, I did it overall with a little bit of potential, so I think that's what maybe bumped him a little bit higher up for me. Because I did have him fairly high, to be honest. What did I have? I had him 6th, so right kind of on the fringes of that. Yeah,
which isn't mad as well. Like, it depends on how you like. I think naturally weight attacking players a little bit higher for some reason. It's just it's like hard for me to look at like again someone like a Foden and someone like a Saliba. It's like who would you rather have in your team? Well, it's hard to compare really because they're so different. Yeah. It's just hard to place them. I could easily argue for him being 5th, 6th, and easily argue him being 8th, 9th, 10th as well. So
Fair. Okay. 7th, João Felix, 12 points. 5th on mine, 9th on Gareth. Fifth is high, but I really like João Felix. I mean, he's kind of, for me, right outside that fringe of 4 established young players that are basically world class, or at least getting to that level. I think he has world class potential. You look at him, I always say it, complete striker. What can he not do? Aerial threat, link up play, can take his man on, can shoot from anywhere. Creative, can drop into midfield, can get in behind. I mean, complete striker.
Can stay on sides.
Can stay on sides. Can stay on sides. Huge.
Oh my god.
Huge for Chelsea.
Yeah, massive.
Yeah, he is the player that I bumped down to put Saliba up. And the only reason for all that was because I was thinking about weighting attackers versus defenders. I think I've seen more from Saliba. I did watch a fair amount of Marseille last season. So I've watched a fair bit of Saliba before this season as well. And it was the way that when he was at Atleti, just didn't really fit into the system. And it's kind of unfair on him. But at the same time, it's like, if you're really, really that top-level player, I think you try and fit into any system and you adapt better than he did. So that went against him. But I think, like, in the right system, he will go to the moon. Whether that will be Graham Potter's Chelsea, we'll see. If he'll go back to Atleti when Simeone leaves and they get a more progressive manager, maybe he'll thrive there. I don't know. But I think it's just the fact that I haven't been able to see him over a consistent period perform to the levels that I do think he is capable of, but I just haven't seen it. At the World Cup, I thought he was fantastic as well. Like, there were just these moments where, like, he would just change it for Portugal, and it was, kind of a shame he didn't get to play a little bit more. But then, when you got, like, Rafael Leao on the bench, it's kind of hard to justify that as well. So, yeah.
Melina, your thoughts as a Chelsea supporter?
So I had him at 7th. I think I edited my list a couple times, and I had him higher originally, but sort of what Gareth is saying too. Like, I just haven't seen him in a system that suits him at all. Like, he's been playing negative football for like 3 years, and everything that I'm basing...
That's real football.
Everything that's like went into my...
Says the Man City fan.
Everything that went into my ranking for him is more like his Benfica hype, right when he was getting that move to Atletico, and like the half an hour I've seen him play for Chelsea. I think he is going to transform this team. Him against West Ham, him and Enzo, I think, are still figuring each other out. I think they're all figuring each other out still.
It's going to be a sexy link up.
That goal, though. That goal was beautiful.
Oh, everybody else that we had as a forward is sending that up into somebody's porch.
To the rafters.
Rafters.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Imagine Aubameyang trying to control that. Be funny.
Yeah. No
Aubameyang
shot.
Probably.
Aubameyang controls that.
Aubameyang probably gets it on target or something. But the thing is, he would be offside first of all, and second of all, if he wasn't offside, he wouldn't make the run.
Sterling skies it, I'll tell you that now. Sterling misses the net
unfortunately.
by so much.
Kai Havertz?
Kai Havertz... No. Kai Havertz is offsides, first of all.
Exactly.
And then second of all, he still misses.
Kai Havertz scuffs the shot, and then somehow makes the rebound, hits the post, gets up, sprints over, shoots again, misses.
Yeah, that's actually not that crazy.
No, because I've seen that.
I do love Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz.
I've seen that exact thing 4 times.
Yeah. If he got clinical, he would be so good, though.
For that 30 minutes against Fulham, that Kai Havertz-João Felix link-up was probably the best duo in the world that day. Yeah. But it didn't last. And
then God said, you can't enjoy good things for too long.
Yeah.
Here you go.
No, you can't. You're a Chelsea fan.
Yeah.
You can't.
I can't. No.
All right. Sticking with Chelsea, though. Enzo Fernandez in at 6th with 14 points in total. 6th on Melina's. 4th on Gareth's. 9th on mine.
Oh, wrong hand. Another one from you.
All right. Hear me out.
Oh, he's only played 6 months. Oh.
I have a valid reason.
I don't think you do.
He's a Man City fan. He's jealous.
One. No. One. We only know about this kid for 6 months, okay? No one can take this unless you're like Azam or Gareth. Credit Azam and Gareth.
I signed him on Football Manager last year, so
Exactly. They were on top of their shit. All right. They
I haven't
had it
really
figured
seen
out.
him, to be fair, but there you go.
The rest of us, we need to stop acting like we have known this guy, like he's Phil Foden or Vinicius or something, or Bukayo Saka or Erling Haaland, where he's easily one of the best players in the world. All right, we have seen this guy realistically. I would say a majority of us have seen him for less than 10 games. There's like 8 games in the World Cup that he played.
Well, no, he played 5.
Exactly my point. That's half. That's half right there.
Maybe
That's
6,
5
I
games.
can't remember. Came on as a sub for one of them.
Exactly. 4.5 games.
No.
Gareth.
5.5.
Huh?
Oh Lord.
5. It doesn't matter. Not long is what you're saying.
Yeah, end of the day, less than 5 games we saw him in the World Cup. He was sensational those 5 games. He was great those 5 games. All right, don't get me wrong.
World Cup final.
There is fucking no one in the United States who is watching the Portuguese league in their free time. Okay? I don't even watch the Portuguese league in my free time.
You say that as if it's like, I reckon there's some.
There's probably Portuguese people here watching the Portuguese league.
Yeah. I was going to say is it Wonder Kid podcast or whatever the podcast is called.
Yeah, they might be. That's
Yeah.
their only source of Portuguese football is from the Wonder Kid podcast, and it's just that guy pronouncing names. It's not any analysis. It's nothing. It's just him listing a starting 11. Okay, so Melina's losing her mind, but
João Cancelo.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. All right, and then we saw him for 1 game for Chelsea, and maybe a couple highlights of "Welcome to Chelsea," Enzo. All right, so I haven't seen bro play at all. I know he's amazing. I'm not saying he wasn't amazing in those World Cup games. I'm not saying his mixtapes aren't fucking sick, but I do not know this guy. All right, I do not know this guy.
I know him a little bit better than you because I do like Benfica, and so I do watch the odd game, and I watched them in the Champions League, especially because I got myself really hyped up that they were going to win the Champions League for some reason. Then they went and sold Enzo, so. But they've got a sick team, so many good young players, and Rafa. Oh, I love Rafa. Anyway, so I did watch them a fair bit, and he was just blowing my mind every game. Every game, I was just like, this kid, I need him at Arsenal. I was signing him in Football Manager, and I was just getting myself so excited about him. And then the World Cup comes, he absolutely smashes it, and I'm just like, he is the truth. He is the best under 23 midfielder, like central midfielder, not like a winger or whatever, in the world.
Melina, you look like you're about to.
I'm trying to
go
think
on
if
a
I've made a
killing
mistake
spree.
there.
Can
Maybe
I?
she'll win, who knows.
Yeah. First of all,
Yeah,
we've
you
only
go in.
seen him for what 8-9 games, and everybody is obsessed with him. That is efficiency. You don't need to watch somebody.
No.
Yeah.
That is not efficiency. Don't
Yes,
do
it
that.
is.
That is him being linked to Chelsea. The English media going, "Oh, this guy is great. Oh, this guy is great," and everyone else is just like, "Yeah, you know what? You're right." Like, no, Alexis McAllister arguably had just as good of a World Cup as Enzo Fernandez, and you don't see Alexis McAllister getting a $100 million move.
Alexis
wanted
McAllister would be on this
McAllister
list.
at Chelsea before I wanted Enzo, but now I believe in the Enzo project because I've read all the Twitter threads and how he literally transformed clubs that he
See,
played
that
for.
is what I'm saying. That is what I'm saying, though. That is what
I
I'm
don't
saying,
have to
though.
watch him for me to know that he's been great because other people have.
He
watched
has
him.
been great. I'm not saying he's not been great, but it's been for 10 games.
It's efficiency. It's efficiency.
It's not efficiency. It's good form. That's good. That's the definition of good form. Arsenal were literally perfect for 17 games and then lost to Everton.
Yeah, Sean Dyche is Everton, though.
Okay,
new manager.
fair.
Respect.
But
Have some respect for Sean Dyche.
You know
But-
you would kill to have him in your midfield, and don't lie to me, Rohan.
I would love to have him in my midfield.
then.
But he might go up. He might go up 2 more spots in that list if he played for Man City. I'll be honest. I'll be real with you. He might go up 2 or 3 more spots in that list.
He's
But,
played 2 games
end
for
of the
Chelsea.
day.
He's offered me more than literally all of those bozos combined.
Okay, your club is in the mud, all right? You guys were consistently
That's
starting
fine.
Jorginho and
That's
Kovacic in
fine.
2023.
That's
All right, you guys were consistently starting Jorginho and Kovacic.
Yeah, but then Enzo came in. They drew 1-1 with West Ham, so...
Yeah,
That's a
exactly.
step up.
Thank you, Gareth. Thank you.
No,
No, but he got the assist.
You had him higher.
I'm on the side of chaos. I think he's better than Foden.
Ooh.
All right, let's chill out.
He is. I've got him higher than Foden.
Chill out.
I'd rather have him in my team than Phil Foden.
We'll get there. Oh, that's a scandalous take. All right, we'll get there.
It's just correct, isn't it?
It is correct.
End of the day, I had Ian Mellier higher than Enzo Fernandez, and I'm not mad at it.
Ian Mellier.
Oh,
How have
I'm
you
not
got
mad.
him on this list?
Ian Mellier is a good player.
He's a good
great.
player, but
I'm surprised
This
he
is
didn't
a
make
Delete
y'all
take.
U23
This
list.
is a
As a
Delete
goalkeeper, he's been doing it for 2 or 3 years, performing at a great level.
yeah,
He's the only reason that he's not relegated.
Last season he was atrocious.
Last season he was bad. But
Yeah.
year before that and this year, he's been great shot stopping wise. And playing at the back.
I do think he's a good young keeper. And he's not better than Enzo Fernandez.
He's not better than Enzo Fernandez. That's
I'm saying it's been 10 games, guys. It's been 10 games.
Yeah, but Mellier's had about 10 good games in his career.
That's not true.
Okay.
Fine, 11, but
All right, see, and that's more than Enzo.
Oh my god.
All right.
I think we need to move on.
Moving on, somebody.
Anyways.
Love you guys.
All right, let's go. Let's go to 5th place. 16 points, beating Enzo Fernandez by 2 points, is Dejan Kulusevski. 4th on Melina's.
There's
7th
some
on...
scandalous behaviour going on here.
It's not that... Guys. No. Unless you're Azam or
Foden
Gareth.
above Kulusevski.
Unless you're Azam or Gareth, there's no reason... Or a Chelsea fan. There's no reason Enzo Fernandez is like a top 4 U23 player in the Prem.
He is though. What do you mean? Unless you're Azam or Gareth?
Because you guys have consistently watched him and you know this guy.
Well,
No one else knows this guy. They're just buying into
semi-consistent.
the hype. I'm calling people on their bullshit.
Okay, so you're not having a go at me ranking him high. You're having a go.
No.
at people who
I'm
aren't
having
here.
I'm having a go at people just
James,
buying
who
into
didn't
this hype
turn
for
up.
no reason.
Oh, I've got work in the morning. Yeah, well.
Yeah. All right. Kulusevski. Kulusevski is above Enzo Fernandez in this list. Do I think potential-wise Enzo is better than Kulusevski? Absolutely yes.
Yes.
But Kulusevski is ahead of him right now. 4th on Melina's, 7th on mine. Melina, why do you like Kulusevski?
Because he changes that Tottenham side from being like actual dog shit to something of a football team.
Cat shit.
What?
I said cat shit. He turns them into cat shit. From dog
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
Is that an upgrade?
Potentially.
I mean, cats can poop inside. Dogs can't.
My dog
No,
can.
+1. But yeah, Son has fallen off a cliff, and I think Kulusevski could potentially be the future of Tottenham, especially because I think they're going to sell Harry Kane in the summer, and obviously they don't play the same position, but like forwards, attackers, whatever. But Tottenham are so unserious as a football club. I don't know if they will get him like what he needs. You know what I mean? I was surprised that I didn't know who he was, and I'm pretty sure that's just like pure Conte signing. And I was like, who the hell is this kid? And then I saw him versus Manchester United in his debut, and I was like, oh, you're really good.
Yeah.
I think he has the potential to be the future of Tottenham, but it sucks because it's like his potential isn't even based on his own playing ability. It's based on Daniel Levy and him not being like a penny pinching cheapskate. You know what I mean?
Fair. Fair. I mean, I hold it over Delete all the time because when they brought in Kulusevski and Bentancur that last January, was it?
Mm-hmm.
Delete gave them like a terrible transfer rating. It was like, both these players suck and they don't move me emotionally. And they've both turned into like consistent starters. Yeah. They're arguably
Along with Kane.
Yeah, along with Kane,
exactly.
like they're
that being number one.
best players on Tottenham.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I agree with you there.
The best thing I can say about Kulusevski is I'm desperate for him to leave Tottenham. He's an Arsenal fan, so realistically...
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, Arteta wanted him as well, although I'm not sure if he was going to put him on the left or what. He'd probably do a job on the left, probably could be good. But probably the reason we didn't go for him is ultimately because we got Saka. But yeah, no, the best thing I can say is I just really want him to leave. I don't want him there anymore. I like him too much. Yeah, and if they fumble him, because they haven't got him over the line yet.
No, they haven't.
I think if they qualify for Champions League football this year, then it's confirmed that he will join. Otherwise, they've got like an option to sign or something. But with an option to sign, someone could come in and match the bid, and he could choose to go there. So I'm praying that, like, I don't know. I don't really want him to go to City, but
You've been scheming
he would
this
be
for
so
a while.
good at City. I've been trying to like find like a loophole for him to get him out of Tottenham. Like I just want to, even if he goes to like a title rival, at least I could just enjoy the football a bit more.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, let's move on into fourth place, beating Enzo Fernandez by 6 points. Kulusevski by 4 points. Kulusevski by 4 points. Philip Foden in at 20. Melina and Gareth, you both had him 5th, which I think, obviously, a little bit low. I had him 3rd. I would have accepted 4th, but I think you're both wrong. Wrong answers.
Well, we think you're wrong.
Yeah.
Wrong hand, as usual.
Yeah.
That's it again.
All right, Melina, take it away.
He's been dog shit. Again, like, he is... You want to talk about falling off a cliff? Where is he? Where is he? Where?
He's literally injured. He's literally injured.
Injured.
I'm not moved.
He trained the whole week and then he didn't
Is he
start.
injured the way
He was great.
At halftime? I don't think so.
He was great before the World Cup. Let's not act like he wasn't amazing. He was in excellent form right before the World
But
Cup.
I'm looking at him now, and I'm just not moved. I just think something... I don't know. Something is going on at City that we're not really talking about. I think a lot of players are wanting to leave. And I'm not saying that Phil Foden wants to leave.
There's a lot of strange
He should leave.
behavior.
He should leave. I'm pro Foden out.
You hate your own club so much.
No. Listen. I'm pro Foden leaving for his own career. He's a midfielder who has, I would say, 30 goals and assists in him a season in all competitions. But because he plays in such a rigid system where there's no creativity, he's not allowed to like shoot or dribble or pass as he normally would. Like, let's say he went to Madrid. I think he gets 30 goals and assists in a season. Like, I think he's a midfielder who has that wide midfielder who has that potential. So, for his career, I'm pro Foden leaving. But as a City fan, I literally, if he leaves, I'll kill myself. So.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah. No, I
didn't leave him off. I'm being a little dramatic. I think we all know I have an air for the dramatic. But I don't know. I think something is going on over there, and I think he's unhappy, and he has not been good since the World Cup, and you cannot say otherwise.
No. I'm not disagreeing with that. I would say, but before the World Cup, he was amazing.
Like, for sure.
Let's establish that.
If this was 6 months ago,
but during. Since the World Cup, definitely, I think City have just been a little bit stagnant in general, and I agree. I do think all the City players are unhappy, and I think just using Cancelo alone as an example of what happens if you speak out against Pep, kind of made everyone recorrect themselves. Maybe that's why De Bruyne hasn't been starting. Maybe that's why Foden has been like training and then not actually playing. So I understand it.
Cancelo, I hope if Chelsea don't win the Champions League, I want it to be Bayern so bad, just so that when he comes back to Pep,
he's got the medal. Starts showing it to everyone,
and he birds them. He's like, "Yeah, you want to get rid of me? Look now. What do I have? What do you not have?"
And then Pep brings out his 4 Champions League medals. One from when he's a player, and goes, and then just sends him back, sends him to like Scunthorpe or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Starts ripping it up in League One.
Send him to Stoke. Send him to Leighton Orient. That's where he belongs.
But on Foden,
Foden.
he was unbelievable for the World Cup, and I think he was really good at the World Cup as well. I do think he really thrives when he's allowed to be a bit more creative. And I think Pep was allowing that before the World Cup, and I think Southgate as well was much more... I think Kane actually performing for England for once definitely helped, but I think Southgate as well allowed the players to be a bit more free. I think he trusted them a bit more, and that really suited the likes of Rashford, Saka, and Foden especially. I thought he was really good at the World Cup, and it was just a shame that he didn't play more because, you know, Saka and Rashford were fantastic as well, so there's only 2 spots on the wings, and he doesn't want to play him in midfield. But yeah, I think for me, it's just like the only reason I couldn't put him higher on this list, and this is funny because I put Enzo above him, is just because I haven't seen a consistent period from Foden where he's hit those levels. He'll go.
I think Rohan's head is about to explode.
I know I've only seen 6 months of Enzo, but you know he's always great. And the thing with Enzo is he just always rises to the challenge. Foden, Champions League final, what did he do?
Not win.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, no one did anything though.
Yeah. Rodri sat on the bench.
Yeah, exactly.
I think he was enjoying that. But yeah, no, that's the only reason. And look, my reason for putting Enzo above him is just because I 100% believe in Enzo. I'm so convinced by him, but I understand that it is based on a very short amount of time. And just like when I got over excited about Nketiah, I could be wrong on that. I'm definitely not, but I could be.
And let the records show that I have Foden above Enzo, so it's not an agenda.
True, she does.
Wrong
I can verify this. But you had him below Kulusevski. So, is there an agenda? Perhaps.
I'm not moving.
But the important thing is everyone's got Saka above Foden, right?
Yes.
No.
I do.
No, I don't.
Take you to
I'll be honest.
Added and not let you out of there.
Okay. I'll be honest. This one was pure spite. Saka is a better player than Foden, but I just couldn't do it.
I love that.
I just couldn't do it.
Dear Lord. I respect it.
I'll admit it, but in writing, I will not admit it.
Never.
I can always come back and say this was a joke. For legal reasons, this is a joke. But yeah, I put Saka in 4th and Foden in 3rd, which no one else did. So Saka 3rd in our list in general. I had him in 4th, Melina in 1st. So
Melina in 1st. Wow.
Yeah, that was.
Has Melina forgotten someone's age, or do you rate him that highly?
She rated him that highly.
Yeah.
Wow.
Listen,
so you didn't forget Haaland?
I am a hater, through and through. But game gotta respect game, you know? That kid is insane. Currently, his ceiling, there is no ceiling for him. He has the potential to be the best player in the world, not just in his position, player in the world. And I think, Gareth, you better hold on to that man with 2 hands firmly.
Oh.
Bring him to Pep.
No,
he's going to ruin him.
Bring him.
No, get rid of Pep.
I need to turn him into a robot. I need to turn him into a dead-eyed, soulless backpasser. That's true potential.
Yeah, oh wow.
Yeah.
7
goals, 4 assists.
But okay, Rohan.
Put him in the Mahrez model.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he'll get you 20 goals. He'll get you 20 goals in a season, but they're not going to move you at all emotionally.
Now I'm worried because I forget somebody's age. Because now I'm worried if I had a stinker.
No, you didn't.
Did you put Haaland in?
She has Haaland.
Okay, yeah, that's
she just has him in a surprising place in my eyes. In my eyes, in a surprising place.
Wow, but yeah, Saka. I mean, just best right winger in the world, isn't he? It's just got everything that you want from a winger. His work rate and defensive outlet is one of the reasons he's above any other right winger in the world. But then, his outlet, the way he just consistently takes people on, is constantly a danger. And even when Arsenal are playing like crap, he somehow still manages to play quite well. And I have to argue with idiot Liverpool fans who are obsessed with hating on Saka because they can't accept the fact that Salah is washed. No, he's not. I still love Salah as well. But I've got this beef with this one Liverpool fan on Twitter about Saka and Salah, and so I just, any chance I can get, I'll just diss Salah now, just out of spite against him. The Liverpool fan, not Salah himself, actually loves Salah. But yeah, anyway, I've gone off topic. Saka,
my thing is, my
player
only complaint, it's not really even a complaint, it's just more from like an analytical perspective. I can't remember Saka having a bad game, so I feel like I need to see him either like in poor form, because I feel like that's where you can really compare two players in terrible form, who is better between those two, is how you can kind of see who's a better player. Or
at the start of this season, the first like 5-6 games, a lot of people were saying he was playing badly, but the reality
I didn't think he was playing badly, though.
No, he was still dropping 7 out of 10s, but I think that's his
what I'm saying.
level. I think like
he
brings so much to the game,
level.
even if he's not scoring or assisting, he brings so much to the game all the time. He's a constant outlet, and that's why like people try and like slander him because he hasn't scored or assisted or whatever. Like people are doing this thing with Rashford now. Like, Rashford's better because he's got more goals and assists than Saka and Martinelli combined. And it's just like, first of all, they're just very different players. But second of all, Saka, his game is so much more than that. He brings everything you want.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. True. Like, I don't know what he's bad at. Like, he is so well rounded as a player. Like, obviously he can get better. He's only like 21, 22. But if he's
bad at signing contracts. He needs to sign a new contract.
At this age,
come to City.
What is he going to be in 3 years? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's...
Unless he gets a bad injury.
No.
That is pretty terrifying.
Yeah.
Don't speak that into
All right. Our runner-up, missing out on first place by actually just 1 point. Second on everyone's list. So, first and actually only unanimous player, Reece James.
Big Reece.
Which means we had Haaland first, obviously, at 28 points. Melina, you had... So I guess we'll kind of do both players, but I guess we'll start off with Reece James. You had Reece James above Haaland. How come?
Because I love Reece James. No, part of my reason for putting both Saka and Reece James above Haaland, yes, Haaland is an incredible goal scorer, but outside of that, what does he do other than take up space? You know what I mean? Like, he did assist this past weekend, but I'm not saying he's a bad player. I'm not saying that at all. I just think when you look at overall play, the other two offer way more to their team. And I also looked at, like, if you were to remove these players and put the backup in, how much of an effect would it have on the team? You take Reece James out of that Chelsea squad, you've seen what we've looked like for the last 4 months. You take Saka out of that team, God only knows what that looks like, because we've never really seen him not play. You take Haaland out, I don't know. The goals are going to come from somewhere, but...
I mean, we saw City be
are
arguably
better without Haaland.
Yeah. But he's just that amount of goals. But but that's partially because City is such a great team. I think if you add Haaland into Arsenal, and you take Saka out, I think Arsenal can still be a great team. If you add Haaland into Chelsea and you take Reece out, I think he can elevate them as well. So it's hard to compare. Like, City were an amazing team, and I think people as well are saying, City are worse with Haaland. It's not just the fact that Haaland's come in. It's the fact that Pep is playing a different style of football. He's fallen out with certain players as well. Before the World Cup, City looked just as good. Obviously, like, the play was different. The play style was different, but they were winning games. They were absolutely smashing it. But then they dropped a few points, and all of a sudden everyone just started blaming Haaland. And actually, I think there's so many other factors there besides Haaland. So I do think that's a little bit harsh. But there is definitely truth to it that he's not as... Like, Pep didn't get along with Ibra, and I think if Haaland wasn't scoring as many goals as he is, which at some point it will dry up to some extent, you know, Haaland's had a few games more recently where he hasn't scored. Maybe people are learning how to defend against City, and he'll still have he still had that Wolves game where he scored a hat-trick, was it not? So he'll still have these ridiculous games, but yeah, maybe people will start to figure City out with Haaland because he is a little bit more one-dimensional. But I do think there are other things going on there as well. And I think if he breaks the Premier League top scorer's record, I just don't know how I can justify not putting him in number one. And if he's on course to do that currently, he might not do it. Of course, he's still got a good 8 odd goals to go or something like that. So.
My thing is, I said before the season, Haaland coming in, it's either going to go really, really well or really, really bad. We all know the reasons why. But I don't like using the goal argument, but I mean 25 goals.
It's insane.
It's nuts.
His goal output is nuts. But the thing is, he needs to be part of the game more, because we've seen him have games where he'll have 4 touches, and he'll have a goal. That is the definition of efficiency as a striker. But all you have to do is not let Haaland get the ball. That's not that simple, I know. But put 3 guys on him, who cares?
That's what some teams have been doing.
That's what teams do. That's what teams are doing. And that's my thing. I think that's what makes him that's what makes him so good. City aren't even playing the ball to him, and he's getting hat tricks. He is not getting the ball over the top, which is his strongest attribute as a striker. He's forced to play as
If he was in Liverpool's team, he would be 30+ goals by now.
Yeah. If you put him into that Liverpool team,
because he's better than Darwin, and he wouldn't miss the chances that Darwin's missed, and then he would score an extra 10 on top of that as well.
My thing is, I don't. You might feel differently, Melina. I'm curious to know how you feel, but if you give me the option in Chelsea's current team between Reece James and Haaland, I think they benefit more with Erling Haaland in that team.
Easy to say when you've been watching Aubameyang all season.
That's the reason, though.
It's hard for me to say no, but obviously I watch Chelsea way more in depth than a non-Chelsea fan.
Yeah.
What Reece James brings to that team,
he's so good.
You cannot
Amazing.
Replace it. He, as good as he is defensively, he is good going forward. He scores goals. He makes goals happen. He is involved in every facet of play. And that, to me, is so much more... maybe I'm PTSD as a Chelsea fan. Nobody else is doing shit, and my right back is doing literally all of it. So I'm not used to players just having to do one thing. But to me, that is more the contributions to the team and what you mean to the team. I don't know. I could be so off base here, and honestly, the margins are razor thin. I'm not saying one is leaps and bounds better than the other. I know what Reece James brings to this team, and as much as I love Azpilicueta, it's just not enough. Not enough.
Yeah, he's old as shit.
Yeah.
He's old as shit.
That's what I'm saying.
I think
you take that, if you put the second string player into that position, how does that affect the team? It's the difference between Chelsea getting top 4 and 10th.
Yeah, but City they have that entire star cast. I mean, we literally won the league last year without Haaland and basically the same exact squad. So I think it's kind of hard to make that argument. I mean, I think Reece James is definitely the best fullback in the world, or has potential to be the best fullback in the world, assuming he doesn't get injured.
That's the only thing holding him back, I think.
Yeah,
I think in
that's
terms of
literally
ability,
the only drawback to his game. He's a complete fullback. Defend, perfect. Attack, slightly worse than Trent, but I mean that's an incredible standard.
Even then, when it comes to if you, I think Trent's crossing when he's on it and when the team are on it, on top of their form. I don't want to talk about recently because Trent's actually not been that great in that aspect more recently. But when he's on it, we know what he's at at his best. I think in terms of the long passing and the crossing, he's better. But Reece, actually, his effectiveness in the attacking, and it's not even just direct goals or assists. I think his link-up play to create, and even just his runs to create space as well, are really, really effective. I've had that debate so many times. I don't want to go down that road. Reece is better than Trent for me all round.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree.
But
I agree.
going forward, I think it's closer than people think as well. But what I wanted to say about those three players, Saka, Haaland, and Reece James, is you can make an argument they're all the best in the world at their position. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think for Reece and Saka, they are the best in their position. For Haaland, it's harder because are you going to count Mbappe as a striker? Are you going to call it a forward or whatever? And then are you going to talk about Lewandowski? Kane is a more complete player but doesn't get as many goals. That's another argument. But you can argue Haaland is the number one in the world. And so that's the thing. It's hard to then compare, be like, they're all the best in their position or one of the best in their position. So then how do you compare which is the most important? Because you go back a couple of years, people would have told you fullback is like the least important. Like you can kind of put your water carriers at fullback. But then players like Reece, Trent have kind of shown how much you can actually get from those players. A lot of top teams have fairly average wingers, but then someone like Saka can show you the difference that someone like that can make. And of course, everyone knows what a clinical goal scorer can do for you. But then City are also showing, despite having that, they look a worse team than last year. And again, there's other factors for that. But it's just a very, very difficult debate to have because they are all so good at what they do that it's like who you want to put first kind of comes down to how you see it. I kind of can't look past those goals because I just see that is such... Goals are like... They're not the hardest... People always say they're the hardest thing to do in football. I don't think that's true. I think dictating a game is harder than scoring a bunch of goals. I think it's harder to be Xavi than it is to be Kevin Phillips, who scored like 30-odd goals a couple of times. So I think like there are certain aspects which are harder. But the most valuable thing in football is goals. And someone who can just guarantee you that amount of goals is just so, so valuable and hard for me to overlook. But then I completely see what Melina's saying as well, in that everything that Reece brings to a team to improve that Chelsea team, really, it gets understated a lot. And people just kind of see him as, oh, he's a good defender, he's decent going forward. He's incredible going forward. He's the best defensive fullback in the world, in my opinion. Like defensively, he's not a defensive fullback, but you get what I'm saying. And then like even his help when it comes to dictating the play and stuff like that from out wide when he does invert, he can do that as well. And it's just like I don't think there's anything he could play in midfield. He could play at centre back. He could play at right back. He could play on the right wing as well, and he would be amazing in all of those. He is such a well-rounded footballer. It's unreal. So it's hard for me to like completely argue against what Melina's saying as well. It's just for me personally, I just can't look past those goals. That's why I put Haaland at 1.
Closing thoughts, Melina.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm not saying like I don't think Haaland is like really good, and obviously he is. And every time I think like 25 goals in 22 games, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, holy shit, how do you do that? You know, the crazier it becomes.
21 games.
21 games, excuse me. But yeah, I just
4 assists as well.
What Gareth is saying, it's like, what do you value more in a player? And obviously, like that's gonna sound stupid because like you value your fullback over a goal machine. And it's just like I don't know. I think it's Chelsea PTSD.
I mean, that could be how important Reece James is. Like that could just define how good Reece James is. That you value him actually more than Haaland.
Yeah. They're all fucking fantastic, you know. So
they're all so good. They're all so good.
And they're all younger than me.
Yeah, no, I mean, what?
They're all younger than me.
I still got him beat.
Ugh, God.
Young Han.
Yeah.
Young handsome man.
No, just on that Haaland Reece James debate, I think it also goes back to what Gareth was saying. It's kind of impossible to value a defender and then a striker, and then be like, who's better? You know, you talk about different play styles. Like these are completely different play styles.
Yeah.
Yes.
Insanely so.
Exactly.
But I just think
like what you value in the end.
Yeah. I mean, it's at the end of the day, what do you value more? I mean, obviously, Melina's a Chelsea fan. I'm a City fan, so we're going to back our own players. But let us know your thoughts, guys. I thought this was a great episode, so be sure to drop 5 stars if you enjoyed today's content. And we'll see you guys next time.